Hey, welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. Thank you for clicking on this video, which is gonna be my no, it's not. It's gonna be my no pan left behind. So I basically got this idea from Laura. I'll have her link down below, and she did the no pan left behind. The sun is coming out. Okay, this is interesting. Hopefully the lighting will be fine for this video. I got this idea from her. She did a no pan left behind last year, and then I also wanted to start doing it, so I did. And by December 31st last year, I had finished using all of my eyeshadows at least once. And I don't have that many eyeshadows, but I still, like, if I didn't have any way of tracking or like actually checking off that I use eyeshadows, I know that I would probably use about, I'm gonna estimate 60%, maybe 70, maybe not even that much, I don't know. Like, I tend to, especially as I'm doing pan those eyeshadows stuff as well, I tend to forget about certain eyeshadows, especially ones that I don't really love the color of. So I said in my intro that I really encourage everyone to do something like this. Still do. It's so much fun, and I'm gonna show you my progress for March. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull up my spreadsheet, because the way I track the usage, like track actually using the first time I use an eyeshadow, I make a little mark that I've used it, and then I have color coded months of the year so that I can see which eyeshadows did I use in February, which ones did I use in March, so on and so forth. And I'm gonna do a screen recording, and I'll put it up right here. So this is what my spreadsheet look like. I've just put all of my eyeshadows down and in like palettes, separated into the palettes, and then I have all of the months going across. So you can see January was purple, so I used a couple of shades in January. A lot of the ones that I've used are eyeshadows that are in my Pan Those Eyeshadows project, the trying to hit pan in as many eyeshadows as possible, at least 24 in 2024. So you can see there are the odd ones here and there, like I reached for that eyeshadow for some reason, I picked it up and used it. And then we get down to here. This is where it gets a little more interesting. The e.l.f. Jalapeno palette, I've used all the shades except for the more yellowy one. I don't really care for that eyeshadow. And then the rest of the palette too is like, it's kind of on the chopping block. I don't know if I'm gonna keep that for the rest of the year, but it's here for now. But yeah, I used all of those in February. February is the yellow dots. And then March that's the green dots. So the Huda Beauty Emerald Obsessions, this one right here, I had a goal of using all the shades in here, and I got a little bit of a head start in January and February, and then I decided that I needed to use all of the shades in March. So I did. I did quite a few green looks. The problem is I don't really have a lot of eyeshadow looks to share with you. I wish I took more pictures of my makeup, but I don't really do that often. So this is now looking well loved. It has two pans. If you haven't seen my Pan Those Eyeshadows, where I have a little live pan action on the dark green, you can go check that out. So yeah, I did all the shades in here, and this is the type of palette that I know that now that I've used all of the shades, I might not gravitate that much towards using it again, but I know that if I want a green look, I will check this palette out. From the Topaz palette, I used one shade. The Ruby palette, I had already finished using all of the shades in February, so I talked about that one in my last update. So as you can see, the palettes with a green background, those are the ones that I have completed no pan left behind on all of the shades in that palette. I used a couple of the shades in the Nude Light palette from Huda. And then the next palette that I had a goal of using all of the shades, it's my newest palette in my collection. This is the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette. And as you can see, I did use quite a lot of them in February. That's when I got the palette. And then I used the rest of them in March. So this was also a palette that I wanted to use all of the shades. Mine looks actually a little bit different. And I don't know if you can spot the difference from what it should look like, but you will see it in a shorts. I don't know if that's out yet or if it will be, but you can see it there. So yeah, I used all of the shades in here. That's not a problem at all. It's a very easy palette to use. I feel like the shades that I kind of struggled with a little bit is the darker purpley shades. Like those are the ones that are not super like work appropriate or easy to use, and then some of the darker matte shades, like especially this one Precious, it's just a little bit too cool tone, but I'm getting more into cool tones. I've been very not cool tone makeup for a very long time, and I can definitely make it work now. I feel like I used to have some trouble with, I felt like it wasn't blending really nice, and now I can kind of get away with it, I feel like. So that's that palette. So that's one that is actually completed. And then there are some palettes that I haven't used at all this month. Juvia's Place palettes haven't used. I've used one of the shades from my Lethal Cosmetics C palette of singles. And that's a green eyeshadow, and I actually think, I'm just gonna have to double check that. I think I have a picture of the look that I did. Yes, I do. I did a green look using a palette I'm going to talk about in a second. And then I needed a lighter green to kind of blend it out. I'm going to pop the picture up, probably over my face, because, or yeah, I'm going to pop a picture up. So I did a green look using the two of the green eyeshadows I have in my pan those eyeshadows. It's the green one from the Alamara Cosmetics Reina del Caribe palette, and it's the green one from the MAC Rose Gilded palette. So I used those two on the lid, and then I used a darker green in the crease, and then I needed something to kind of blend it and make it more green, like make the crease a little bit more green. So I used Lethal Replica, and let me just talk about I'm gonna skip over a little bit here and just go down, and then we'll go back up again a little bit later. So I used the WhatsApp Beauty palette for the rest of that green look, because I used the shade Clay, which is this one. It's kind of green, but it's also a very like, it's not focusing at all. It's a very like muted green, and this is not working, is it? So yeah, I used that one in the crease, and it just wasn't green enough, so that's why I used the Lethal Replica shade. And I also used this palette for my eye look today. I used these three shades right here to create this kind of soft pink look. I forget about this palette quite a bit, so that's why I've been trying to use it a little bit this month, so that, because I have planned on kind of no pan left behind in this one later this year, but I wanted to try and use it a little bit more without being forced to use it, because I kind of put it in my plan, but just because I wanted to. And it's a really pretty palette, so I don't know why I don't use it more. Okay, we're gonna go from the bottom up now, I guess. I haven't used Urban Decay Born to Run palette at all, but I have used all of the shades from my Too Faced Pineapple palette. So I did looks with all of these this month. I'd used I feel like the one in the middle, it's actually in my Pan those eyeshadows as well, the gold one. That's kind of one that I haven't I've been a little bit scared of it actually. But I did a look with it and I actually really liked it. I should have taken a picture of that, but I'm definitely gonna do the same look. No, wait a minute, I had that one in my makeup collection video, so if you want to see that look, it's there. But I basically just used this one on the lid, a warm brown in the crease, and then a blue liner. So that's definitely going to be a summer look for me. So that means I'm no longer scared of trying to pan in this eyeshadow. And then the greeny one is also one that is like kind of harder to use. Like I have to center the makeup look around this. But I did a really pretty like soft green look using it, and it's nice. I like it. So that's that one. And then I used a couple of shades from Sigma that I have depotted into round singles, and I keep them in a little MAC quad. So the ones that I used are just the light, the shade that is like my skin color, and then the light pink matte. It's nothing special, nothing very interesting. And then I also said in my last video that my plan was to finish No Pan Left Behind on the Oden's Eye Elva palette, but then I actually didn't. I had like one day too little in February to do that, so I had to use Baby's Breath and Coffee Bean, which are, I'm just gonna have to cover up a little bit here, these two middle shades right here. I used those in a work look this month. So now I've also finished the Oden's Eye palette, and then I've already finished the Natasha Denona palettes, except for the Dream palette. I haven't really, like I've been using a few shades here and there, but it's more of a fall palette. And then I also used all the shades from my Natasha Denona. I'm gonna insert a little picture of what is this? It's the mini Sendo. It's a mini Sendo palette, I think. So yeah, that's very easy. I used all of those shades in one look, so not a problem. I already used the silver shade in the middle. And then I used one eyeshadow from the Melt Green eyeshadow palette, just because I needed a dark green that would be more like a warm green. And yeah, that's it. That's all the shades that I used this month. And I've been really working hard on my Panos eyeshadows. So that's why I don't really have that many new eyeshadows this month. So I've only used 40 new eyeshadows this month. I've been using mostly eyeshadows that I've already used before. So 40 new ones, which means I now have used 165 of my eyeshadows out of 350, which is the total number of eyeshadows that I have. And that means I'm at 47.14%. And that is not bad. Like I'm almost halfway done with using absolutely all of my eyeshadows, which means that if I keep this up, I'm gonna be done with my No Pan Left Behind project early on in the year. But we'll see. I feel like it's gonna slow down from here on out. I'm gonna be using the same shades. I want to use the same shades over and over again as well, so that I don't want all of my eyeshadows to be used just once in the year. I want progress on all of it. So and I will, because I don't have enough eyeshadows to use just one new one all the time. So yeah, that's everything. That's my update. So that's March for you. And then April is gonna be the orange dot, and I'm excited to see which eyeshadows I'm going to be using in April. My goal, like I have 2 palettes, I'm gonna go grab those real quick. So the palettes that I've chosen for April are, first of all, the Oden's Eye Little Ghost palette. I have used quite a few shades in here already. I've used some of these warmer tones down here, and I've also used some of the purples and maybe even some of the blues. So I don't have that many shades left to use in here. Let me see, I actually have, I think I've used 8 of them. But there are some shades in here that I am a little hesitant to use, especially this bright yellow one. I'm not a huge fan of yellow eyeshadow, so that's going to be a hard one. And then some of the blues, I don't think that's going to be a big problem. I have used these two, and I've used the bottom one, as I said, and then I've also used most of the purples in here. So I don't really have that much left, but it's a very colorful palette. It's going to be great for spring, Easter. Maybe I should do like a crazy yellow Easter look, or maybe not. And then the next palette I have is the Garden of Juvia's palette that I mentioned in my makeup collection video, that this just screams spring to me. It's absolutely beautiful. And I've only used 2 of the shades in here so far. I think I used Money Tree and Blooming previously. So this also has a yellow. I have a lot of palettes with yellows in them, and those are the ones that I'm kind of going to struggle with. But I'm gonna try and make them work, even though I don't like yellow on me. And then if I don't use all the shades in there, maybe the yellows will look better in the summer when I have a little bit of a tan. I don't know, we'll see. But my goal is to use all of the shades in those palettes, so that by my next update I'm gonna have all of those finished. That's gonna be 2 more palettes, and then maybe finish some of the ones that only have like 1 eyeshadow or 2 eyeshadows left. And then basically just use whatever I want, and see if I feel like doing a green look one day. Maybe there are some green eyeshadows that I haven't used before. I will just tick those off, and I don't want this to be restrictive in any way. Like, if I want to use eyeshadows that I have used before or that I haven't used before, I will just use them. So that's why I'm not sticking to like a certain amount of palettes every month. I have focus palettes that will fit with the month we're in, but I don't really have like the randomizing 5 different palettes every month or something like that. And this also leaves room to try and hit pan in as many eyeshadows as possible. So that is going to be everything, and that's my March update for my Panels eyeshadows. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I will hopefully see you in my next video. Bye!